here are some really good football players that end up playing for some really obscure and even bad national teams in their career. Starting things off with one that sticks out to me pretty clearly is Pierre Emerick-Aubameyang. Despite being born in Laval, France, Aubameyang never played for them. He has a very interesting group of eligible countries he could have played for. He was actually invited to play for Italy's under-19 squad while playing for AC Milan, but he ended up picking France's under-21s. But interestingly enough, he was also eligible for Spain, but he didn't end up ever choosing them. But what's really strange is that even though he's playing on the French under-21s, he ended up picking Gabon. One of the main reasons for it was that his father actually captained the national team. He is still being selected for the Gabon national team as well. He's still playing. He has in 81 caps, he has 35 goals. In his entire career for club, though, he actually has 351 goals in 689 games. He's currently playing at Al Qasaya. I hope I said that right. Definitely, he was best known for his time at Borussia Dortmund and Arsenal, though. Aubameyang is Gabon's all-time goal scorer as well. At this point as well, he is 6th in games played for the national team. Gabon has never made it to the World Cup, and honestly kind of unlikely to, even with expanded teams. When it comes to the Africa Cup of Nations, or AFCON, it's even been tough for them to get through here. They're very on and off comes to qualifying. However, they did qualify. Aubameyang was a part of the team when they did qualify. As in 2010, they actually did make it, but went out on the group stage. 2012, they ended up making it and going back-to-back, and this ended up being... They actually ended up being hosts in 2012, and it being their most successful run that Aubameyang was part of, as they went out in the quarterfinals. However, the following year, they had another AFCON, and they didn't qualify. 2015, they ended up going out on the group stage, and then 2017, they hosted, but went on the group stage again. The last time they've gone into this competition was in 2021 when they went on the round of 16. Throughout his entire time being on the national team, he's been very clearly their best player. However, Mario Lemina is also a pretty good player, part of Gabon. That is a little bit out of place. Currently playing on Galatasaray, he's also had times at Wolves. He even played for Juventus, however wasn't a prominent player. Was much more prominent in teams like Southampton, and also turned down being on the French national team for Gabon. However, he probably wasn't good enough for the French national team, and his career is also not quite as good as Aubameyang, as Lemina has mostly struggled to be a prominent player in a Premier League team for most of his career. Aubameyang has been on some of the top teams in the world and has been pretty consistently at times in the Champions League. George Weah is a very interesting man, that's for sure, because not only was he a really good football player, he also ended up becoming the 25th president of Liberia, believe it or not. He only just left office last year. Weah was born in Liberia. George Weah could have become a Cameroon international player, but ended up choosing Liberia. And yeah, he ended up being quite the player, playing for teams like PSG and AC Milan. 478 games, he had 193 goals for club. And for country, he got 18 goals and 75 caps. Liberia is definitely not known for their high qualities, that's for sure. I mean, most of their current players right now are from Liberian league teams, and what I'm looking at right here, half the players don't have a Wikipedia page. 3 teams that they're playing for also don't have a Wikipedia page. Really says a lot about this national team. Surprisingly enough, George Weah is not even first for caps, being 2 behind. George Weah is the all-time leading goal scorer for Liberia. Liberia, just like Gabon, have never made it to the World Cup and are unlikely to do so. And it's even worse in the African Cup of Nations. Weah was a part of 2 and only qualifications to it in 1996 and 2002, where they both went out in the group stage. Henrikh Mkhitaryan is a player that definitely stands out to me, being a Manchester United fan. Help me. A player like this really stuck out in my mind, even if he was going to be bad, good, or just mediocre, because of his national team. As he is born in Armenia, and he was also born while it was a Soviet Union. Unlike the previous 2 players, there wasn't really another national team for him to go to. It was pretty clear he was going to be playing for Armenia from the very beginning. Mkhitaryan is actually still playing currently in Inter Milan. I would even argue he's pretty decently well known on quite a few teams. His time at Borussia Dortmund was pretty memorable. For me personally, Manchester United was. He was also pretty well known for being a part of the swap deal with Alexis Sanchez that sent him to Arsenal. And then he went to Roma for 3 years, and he's on another 3 years right now, Inter Milan. He's actually played 759 games, where he has 195 goals in all competitions. Internationally, he's got 32 goals and 95 caps. He hasn't been capped since 2021, and since March 2022, he actually retired internationally. Armenia has certainly not been known for their superstars, Mkhitaryan being really their only big-name player. Mkhitaryan is obviously the all-time goal scorer for Armenia, and second in caps. Armenia has not qualified for a World Cup. Technically can say they did because of the Soviet Union, but I wouldn't really count that. The Euros as well, they also have not qualified. They were close a couple of times, but they never officially made it. Armenia has not really been very notable for any achievements in international football, and it looks highly unlikely that's going to be changing anytime soon. Chris Wood was born in Auckland, New Zealand, just like Mkhitaryan was pretty clearly going to be from New Zealand. Chris Wood has had a very interesting career, as for a while he isn't someone that I don't think anyone would have paid attention to, and definitely would have made this video if it wasn't for his last couple of years. For a while he was only like slightly better, I would argue, than most of the New Zealand players, but in the last couple of seasons he's very quickly become significantly better. Chris Wood has mostly played in England throughout his career, getting a pretty quick move away from the New Zealand league. He started his career in semi-professional New Zealand leagues with Hamilton Wanderers, and then played for Waikato FC, the New Zealand Premiership, not really playing a whole lot until getting a move to West Brom, and immediately going into the Premier League and Championship. He played for Leicester, he then played for Leeds. Easily his most prominent teams have been Burnley and Nottingham Forest. He actually has been in the Premier League consistently since 2017-18 season, where for most of these years he was putting up pretty good goals. He had a tough time at Newcastle, but when going to Nottingham Forest, he's once again back on top. For a while, he's even competing for the Golden Boot this past season, and looks like he's probably going to be getting his first 20-goal season in the Premier League. 594 games, he has 210 goals, 82 caps for New Zealand, and 44 goals. He's also played for the Olympic team and for under 17 and under 23s, which he's gotten an extra 4 goals in an extra 11 games. Although in Oceania, New Zealand is massive, outside of it, they really are quite minuscule. Chris Wood, obviously their all-time goal scorer, is also second in games, and it looks pretty likely he'll become the all-time leading games played player, being just 6 caps away. New Zealand is the only country here that's actually made the World Cup. They made it in 1982 when they went on the group stage. They also made it in 2010, which Chris Wood was actually involved with. They went on the group stage though. However, we will be probably seeing Chris Wood once again in the World Cup as they qualify for the 2026 World Cup. With added teams, it led to a direct qualification for an Oceanic country, which before New Zealand had to win a playoff with a CONCACAF team, which most of the time used to go to Costa Rica, let's be honest, or Panama, is now has a direct route to the World Cup, which could mean we'll see New Zealand quite a lot more often. Probably not Chris Wood, considering he's already 33, but we may see him one more time in the World Cup. Their big success obviously comes from the Oceanic Nations Cup. They've won in 1973, the Nations Cup. Just before he got called up, they won in 2008. They went third in 2012. But they've won 2016 and 2024. But yeah, in comparison to everyone else, yeah, Chris Wood is way better. Although he may not be considered a really good player, in comparison to his national team, he certainly is. Ragnar Klavan, which many Liverpool fans probably never wanted to hear the name of again, let's be honest. But yeah, certainly has one of the most obscure national teams, as Klavan is an Estonian international. Klavan has also had quite the career for sure, being obviously well known for being a Liverpool player. But that's not all he's done in his career. In fact, he's been playing from 2001 to 2024. Being a center back, he's not going to get many goals, but in 587 games, he had 32 of them, and had 3 goals for Estonia and 130 caps. He was still being capped at least one more time, all the way back in just last year in 2024. He's only ever scored in friendlies, though, against New Zealand, El Salvador, and Gibraltar, so it probably comes as no surprise that Estonia is not very prominent internationally. If Klavan is probably the best player they've ever had. Klavan is the 5th highest games played player of all time, and obviously he's not even in the top 10 for goals, considering he's a center back. Estonia has obviously not been a part of any World Cup. I am not counting their time a part of the Soviet Union. Neither will I for the Euros, which they also have not ever qualified for, or really gone close. I guess they did have a playoff matchup because of their Nations League stance in 2024, but they were never going to get through that. In the Nations League, probably the most prominent thing they've ever done as a national team is go first in their group in 2023 to get promoted, which gave them a spot in playoffs to make the Euros, despite not even getting a point in it. But that's really the best it gets for them. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.